Well, welcome to IlliniGuys Halftime Live. This is Mike Kegley with Kedrick Prince. Tennessee has proven to be quite the opponent. And Ted, I don't know if you noticed, but the referees are there at the game today.
Mike, first of all, I'm upset, just visibly upset, because I can't be at this game today because of the weather. My truck is just covered in ice. Of all games to miss in my career covering the Illini, today stinks. But to answer your question, with your comment, Mike, this is ugly. It's a football game. And now it was a football game. Now everything you do, if you look at them and you breathe on them, it's a foul. It's an ugly look. I don't like the way it looks. Illinois is right there. They have multiple guys in foul trouble right now. It's just awful, awful, awful game. And, you know, how the officials can let a football game go and then turn it into a Cinderella ball show, I have no idea.
Well, I want to be real clear. People know that I get mad at the refs. There is absolutely nothing unfair about these refs. They are
Oh,
calling
I
it
know.
right down the middle, but it's just horrible watching basketball. Two talented teams, and we have seen already 45 free throws. It is brutal. Illinois is shooting 8% from the three. Tennessee is shooting 20% from the three. Tennessee is shooting 21% from the field, and Illinois is shooting 24. There were 26 fouls called. Now let's go to, besides that, I think it's been really interesting. Ikusionis, they have found a way to slow him up a little by trying to get inside of him and get underneath him while he's shooting. It's caused him some issues, but he has drawn a lot of fouls on Tennessee.
He's drawn a lot of fouls. He didn't get those fouls early, Mike. He's drawn a lot of fouls because the officials changed the way they start calling the game. Anybody can see, and you're right. I'm glad to hear you say this was not me making a comment that Illinois was getting the short end of the stick. It's the fouls that are being called. You're going to call it that away. Don't change it. In the second half, don't think, okay, we're going to swallow our whistle again. I don't want to see that. KJ, to me, oh my gosh, it's so hard to. I've said this before. I just struggle with how good he can be and just how sloppy he can be at times. It's just hard, you know. And to Jamal, you're right. Let him play. The worst call I think I've seen of the whole night was the second foul thing on Trey White, where he literally picked the guy from behind. There's no foul. There's nothing. And Robbie Hummel, if you listen to this, damn it, just say it's a bad call. You don't have to try to justify. These officials aren't your friends, man. If it's a bad call, it's a bad call, regardless of what side of the fence it's on. I don't like that because he sees the same thing that we see. And to me, now they're going to start calling everything, and that stinks because Illinois has, 5, 6 guys with 2 or more fouls? That's ugly. And thank goodness for, Will Riley coming in and knocking down free throws and KJ. Otherwise, this will be a low-scoring game. And Illinois is not shooting it well enough, but Tennessee isn't either.
Yeah, this is a game that I'll be honest with you. I did not know if Illinois could compete on a game such as this when they have to deal with somebody as tough, as physically tough as what Tennessee is. This is an excellent, excellent way for the Illini to prepare for what you see with a team like Michigan State and Purdue and Indiana. But I will say that Illinois is going to have to find a way to create their own shots. I think, Ked, the thing that I look at right now is on the court, I think there's one guy who can consistently create good shots for himself, and I think that's Chaz Lanier. I'm not saying he's shooting particularly well, but I think the shooting percentage is largely because guys are getting, it's very physical. And I also think it's really, really big because you have a lot of challenges with the way the things are going. You can't get a good shot off, and I think that's where Kasparis is having some problems because they can stay tight on him, and he doesn't get the open looks he's looking for.
Well, here's my analytical part of the game. They know he is dangerous in a 2-man game. Okay, so every time somebody slips the screen, they're throwing their hands up to deflect the pass. 2 or 3 turnovers I've seen happen with that. You want to know why this game is close to me right now? Illinois, and here's why I think it's close. If they want to change this game, they have to somehow get the league schools or the team's leading scorer, Ivisic, involved. You're telling me right now that Ivisic has 2 points. That's why the game is close. You can talk about missed shots and all those things. He only has attempted 2 field goals. You got to somehow get him involved. I don't care how you look at it. We've all talked about wanting Merez, and that's great because he defends, but Merez is not going to give you 14, 15 points. It's not going to happen. That's where I think that needs to happen. And truthfully, the pick and roll, instead of slipping the screen, there was a couple times in the first half where KJ just went to the basket. Make them pay. If you get to the basket and you get a couple layups like he did one of those and he gets fouled, then they're going to have to back off. Like, then you can throw that pass in the middle of the floor. Otherwise, they're taking it away. And I'm going to give credit to Tennessee. This is the best help defensive team I've seen Illinois play all year. What I mean by that is I've always been a coach to teach my teams to guard a man and a half. That means you guard your man and the other half and help defense. There was times when KJ went to the basket, they cut his water off. Kylan Boswell was being guarded, went to the basket, cut his water off. Trey White, they did it to him. They play excellent help defense, and they make it tough for you. So if you put your head down against Tennessee, they're either going to strip the ball or you're going to get a jump ball, you're going to turn it over. You have to keep your head up and be able to change directions. Otherwise, you're not getting to the basket on them easily. That's why Illinois only has 30 points.
Yeah, and we've got Brad Sturdy. We'll see if we can get him live from the loud State Farm Center. Brad, can we hear you? We may not be able to get him, but if he comes on, if he pops on, we will chat with him on how things are going there at the crazy State Farm Center right now. I'm going to say one thing. Will Riley has taken a couple shots that I thought were a little iffy, but he is able to get his own shot down the line. And I have been really impressed with his ability to drive to the basket and basically, get his shot in there, going through some very physical players. If I'm an NBA GM watching this, I am really, really excited by what I see of him because this is proving that he can deal with a lot more physicality than what people might have thought even just 2 hours ago.
Mike, if I'm telling Will Riley at halftime, if I'm Orlando or Tyler Underwood or Jeff Alexander, I'm going to tell Will Riley, take one more dribble. He's 1 for 7. You're right. But those layups that he's missed, he's a little far out. He's going to convert them because once he gets past the defender, he can score. Tennessee doesn't have a shot blocker. I don't think they're blocking any shots. So having said that, get to the rim and take another shot. I think, and he's not afraid, but look at the statistics, and I know the people out there listening. You have your 2 leading scorers with Will Riley and KJ, and Riley is 6 or 7 from the line, and KJ is 7 for 3. But both of those guys combined are 2 for 14 from the field. KJ missed a wide open layup. And I think Tennessee is speeding them up. I think not that the pressures is not getting to Illinois, but when they get to the basket, I think they're just expecting to get fouled because it's been such a foul fest. I'm glad that Illinois is down right now to start the half because it means that they're going to come out, they should come out with the mentality that we're behind and we have 20 minutes left. You have to grind it out. I don't care about the statistics. Tennessee is 6 for 28. Illinois is 6 for 25 from the field. Illinois is 1 for 12 from 3. And the 1-3 came from the one guy that hasn't been shooting it really well, and that was Ben Humrickhouse. So fight the second half. Even if you win 49-50, this proves that you can play with this team. The foul trouble, it stinks because somebody's going to pick up another foul. If you think Illinois is going to go 6 or 7 minutes without a foul, it's not going to happen. When you got Humrickhouse, you got Boswell, there's KJ, there's Draymond Gibbs Longhorn, Ivisic, and Trey White, all with 2 fouls. But on the other side, Tennessee's in foul trouble as well.
Yeah, this one is going to force some guys to step up and make a difference, because the foul trouble, you know as well as I do, Ked, somebody's going to be in trouble, and it's going to be a pain in the butt, and it's going to cause Illinois some heartache. So there's going to be someone who's going to have to step up. And I do think you've got to find a way to get the ball into Tomislav and see what he
Yes.
can do. You can't ignore that. When you got a weapon like that, you can't ignore it. And I also think some of these guys, they're good 3-point shooters, and we are getting hacked apart like you are on the inside. It's easier to go back out and hunt some threes.
That's what they're doing, but you have to get Ivisic involved somehow, whether it be on the block to draw fouls, because now they're calling ticky-tack fouls. He's a good free throw shooter. They took him out of the game. And that's where the pick and roll, and teams are starting to do that. And we talked about this after the Northwestern game, that teams are starting to make it difficult for him so he can't get to the basket as easy as he once was. And, that's something for me from the coaching standpoint. I would start him on the block. I don't think Tennessee has anybody in the post that could guard him. They're not doing anything offensively, but there's two guys that I think that cannot get in foul trouble second half. Ivisic is one, and I think Kylan Boswell's the other. Kylan Boswell, to me, is an X factor because he can guard. You need him to be on the floor right now. Him sitting out is just not a good situation.
This is the second or third game in a row that I've been thinking it would be nice to have Ty Rodgers. And I know I'm a minority and Illini fans because he's not a great shooter. But what he brings to the table, defense and rebounding, I think is important. Now, Taterhead has a question there. Do you think everything they're calling are fouls?
No.
I don't, but this is what happens when referees lose control of a game. They have to start calling everything. This is where, if you're smart, you're going to call it very tight early on, and then the players settle in. It's very hard for any type of situation to let people go crazy and then try to restrain them later on. And this is just really poor refereeing. They should have locked down early, and then they can ease up as the players adjust. And you letting the players play really physical and then trying to limit them afterwards it's just bad.
It really is. And Taterhead, my opinion, no, they're not all fouls. I could give you 4 or 5 right now quickly. The one I mentioned on Trey White, the foul that they called on Kylan Boswell, it looked like he fouled him. Because it looks like a foul doesn't mean it's a foul. And he didn't foul him. He went underneath the screen and he was close to the shooter and he let him come down. And they for some reason called a foul. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it because it is a football game. And, fans were waiting to see a great game. But what we're seeing is a football game. It's a football game because both teams are physical. And I guess if there's any positive for me in this, it's to see Illinois not back down. Because I thought the difference between last year's Illinois team and this year's team, and to me, and I know last year's in the past, I thought Illinois' team was physical last year and they didn't back down. The last 2 or 3 games, even against Northwestern, against the loss, I don't think they backed down. So that part of it, I guess that there's a positive. That's it. Because I know they're not soft and I know they can compete.
Yeah, and I know, obviously when we look at the stat line, the one area that brought up here by Armand Sethi is that
he's
the fact
right.
that Illinois rarely gets out rebounded, and they're being out rebounded by 8 today. And legitimately, what is very concerning about what Tennessee was able to do is they had 11 offensive rebounds in the first half. That's is something that has to change. And while I'm happy Illinois is playing physical, now they have to be effective when they're doing it. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's got to be done.
He's right. The rebounding, I was glad. I was going to bring that up, and I put that on my notes, so Armani's right. Here's the deal. They have gotten second chance points, and one of those second chance points to hit a 3 off of. And a lot of them, the shots are long. And that still doesn't make an excuse because Illinois shot 3s when they were offense, and Coach Underwood talked about that. And, man, I feel bad for saying this. I really do. But I said the last game, when they played Northwestern, I really and pulling for Ben Humrickhouse. There was 2 times where they're going to sit short on film when they break down the film in practice sessions, where he literally, the man just went in front of him to get the rebound. If you're not going to score, you have to guard and rebound. And I'm not picking on him, but it happened. And those are 10-second chance points. Or if they don't score, somebody gets a foul. If he's not going to score, his mindset should be everything that goes up on his glass, damn it, I'm going to go get it. And he doesn't have that because I just don't know if it's in his DNA. But honestly, it's very noticeable.
Yep. And with that, folks, we will be back about 20 minutes after the game with Ken and myself, and Brad will be joining us. The second half is starting. Go Illini.